Hi dear class students, class 10th English. This is the second part of the chapter The Necklace. This is from your reader Footprints Without Feet. In the first part, you have seen the story of Madame Loisel and her life. In this second part, what happens to Madame Loisel and Mr. Loisel that you are going to see. Mr. Loisel was reluctant as he had saved only that much money to buy a gun for himself so that he could join the hunting parties next summer along with his friends. He told his wife that he would give her the money and ask her to buy a good dress. The day was approaching and Matilda was still not half fine. Even though her dress was almost ready, one day her husband asked her again that why had she been acting strangely for the past few days. Matilda replied that although she had the dress, she did not have any kind of jewelry or anything else to make herself look even more beautiful and attractive. She said that without any jewelry, she would look like a poor person in such a big party. She again said that she would rather prefer not going to the party. To this, her husband replied that she could wear some natural flowers over the dress as they looked really nice and attractive. She replied that she could not as it looked really cheap in a party of rich people. Then her husband suggested that she could go to her friend Madame Foster and ask her to lend some jewelry. Matilda became happy again as she heard the idea. She went to Madame Forester's house the next day and said that she was straight about the party and the jewelry. Madame Foster went to her closet and brought out her jewelry box. Madame Foster asked her to choose for herself whatever she wanted. She first saw some bracelet, then some pearl collars, and then a Venetian cross of gold and jewels. She was not able to decide what to take and what to leave. So she asked Madame Forrester if she has anything else that she could wear. To this, Madame Forrester replied that she could herself take a look and choose something suitable. She then saw a superb diamond necklace kept in a black satin box. She took it out for her with her trembling hands and wore it. She was overjoyed with the necklace as it looked very beautiful. She asked her friend if she could lend her the diamond necklace. Madame Forrester consented to it and said she can take it. She fell upon the neck of her friend, embraced her with passion, then went away with her treasure. The day of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. She was the prettiest of all, elegant, gracious, smiling, and full of joy. All the men noticed her, asked her name, and wanted to be presented. She danced with enthusiasm, intoxicated with pleasure, thinking of nothing but all this admiration, this victory, so complete and sweet to her heart. She went home towards 4 o'clock in the morning. Other gentlemen, whose wives were enjoying themselves very much, he threw around her shoulders the modest wraps they had carried, whose poverty clashed with the elegance of the ball costume. She wished to hurry away in order not to be noticed by the other women who were wrapping themselves in rich furs. Loisel detained her. "Wait," said he, "I am going to call a cab." But she would not listen, and descended the steps rapidly. When they were in the street, they found no carriage, and they began to seek for one, hailing the coachman whom they saw at a distance. They walked along towards the river, hopeless and shivering. Finally they found one of those old carriages that one sees in Paris after nightfall. It took them as far as their door, and they went wearily up to their apartment. It was all over for her, and on his part. He remembered that he would have to be at the office by 10 o'clock. She removed the wraps from her shoulders before the glass for a final view of herself in her glory. Suddenly she uttered a cry. Her necklace was not around her neck. Loisel, already half undressed, asked, "What is the matter?" She turned towards him excitedly. I have no longer have Madame Forrester's necklace." He arose in this way. "What? How is it that?" "It is not possible." And they looked in the folds of the dress, in the folds of the cloak, in the pockets, everywhere. They could not find it. He asked, "You are sure you still had it when we left the minister's house?" She turns towards him and said that Madame Foster's necklace was missing and it might have fallen somewhere. They searched it in the folds of the dress. "Yes, I felt it as we came out, but if you had lost it in the street, we should have heard it fall. It must be in the cab." "Yes, it is possible." "Did you take the number?" "No." "And you? Did you notice what it was?" "No." They looked at each other utterly cast down. Finally Loisel dressed himself again. "I'm going," he said, "over the track where we went on foot, to see it if I can find it." And he went. She remembered in her she remained in her evening gown, not having the force to go to the bed. Towards 7 o'clock her husband returned. He had found nothing. He went to the police and to the cab offices and put an advertisement in the newspapers, offering a reward. She waited all day in a state of bewilderment before this frightful disaster. Dolcel returned in the evening, his face pale. He had discovered nothing. He said, "Write to your friend that you have broken the clasp of the necklace and that you will have it repaired. That will give us some time." She wrote as he dictated. At the end of a week they had lost all hope, and Loisel, older by 5 years, declared, "We must replace this jewel." In a shop of the Palace Royal they found a chaplet of diamond, which seemed to them exactly like the one they had lost. It was valued at 45,000 francs. They could get it for 36,000. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs, which his father had left him. He borrowed the rest. He made ruinous promises, took money from usurers and the whole race of lenders. Then he went to get the new necklace, depositing on the merchant's counter 36,000 francs. When Madame Loisel took back the jewels to Madame Foster, the latter said to her in a frightened tone, "You should have returned them to me sooner, for I might have needed them." Madame Forrester did not open the jewel box, as Madame Loisel feared she would. What would she think if she should pursue the substitution? What should she say? Would she take her for a robber? Madame Loisel now knew the horrible life of necessity. She did her part, however, completely heroically. It was necessary to pay this frightful debt. She would pay it. They sent away the maid. They changed their lodgings. They rented some rooms in an attic. She learned the odious work of a kitchen. She washed the dishes. She washed the soiled their linen, their clothes and dishcloths. Uh, which she hung on the line to dry. She took down the refuse to the street each morning and brought up the water, stopping at each landing to catch her breath and cloth like a woman of her people. She went to the grocers, the butchers, and the fruiterers with the basket on her arm. shopping, haggling to the last sou of her miserable money. The husband worked evening, putting the books of some merchants in order, and nights he often did copying at 5 hours a page, and this life lasted for 10 years. At the end of the 10 years they had restored all. Madame Loisel seemed old now. She had become a strong, hard woman, the crude woman of the poor household. Her hair badly dressed, her skirts awry, her hands red. She spoke in a loud tone and washed the floors with the large pails of water. But sometimes, when her husband was at the office, she would seat herself before the window and think of that evening party of former times, of that ball where she was so beautiful and so flattered. How would it have been if she had not lost the necklace? Who knows? How singular is life, and how full of changes. How small a thing will ruin or save one. One Sunday, as she was taking a walk in the Champs Elysees to rid herself of the cares, her friend did not even open the check. Alice, when she suddenly saw a lady walking with her child. The young, pretty, and attractive lady was Madame Forestier. Madame Loisel started thinking about whether she should talk to her or not. She decided that as she had given her the necklace back and paid back all the debts, there was no reason for her not to talk to her. Madame Loisel went to her and said, "Good morning, Jenny." Madame Forestier was confused, and she could not recognize the person, but thought that she was familiar because only her close friends used to call her by that name. She told her that she might have got the wrong person and that she might be looking for someone else. But Madame Loisel introduced herself to her old friend, and Jenny Foster was shocked to see her in such a poor and changed look. "Yes, I have had some hard days since I saw you, and some miserable ones, and all because of you." "Because of me? What is that?" "You recall the diamond necklace that you loaned me to wear to the minister's ball?" "Yes, very well." "Well, I lost it." "How is that?" "Since you returned it to me, I returned another to you exactly like it, and it has taken us 10 years to pay for it. You can understand that it was not easy for us who have nothing, but it is finished, and I am decently content." Madame Foster stopped short. She said, "You say that you bought a diamond necklace to replace mine?" "Yes." "You did not pursue it then?" They were just alike, and she smiled with proud and simple joy. Madame Forster was touched and took both her hands as she replied, "Oh, my poor Matilda, mine were false. They were not worth for over 500 francs." So this was the story of the necklace, that how because of her attraction of the beautiful things she lends something, and when she just loses that one, and then she had to just repay it or pay it back, so she has to spend complete life of 10 years. And in this way you can see in this story the completely change behavior of the lady, the one who was always thinking about the what do you call the luxuries. Now she started working because of her one mistake. And here we are going to complete our chapter number 7, that is the necklace. So dear students, this chapter is very important for the August monthly test. So after this video, I am in the next video I am going to give you some multiple choice questions on the basis of this chapter. So do keep watching all the videos and listen to my videos properly. Thank you very much. Bye bye.